Read this carefully. Former Indian lawmaker slain live on television, state restricts gatherings. If you're not an Indian, you would read this news and feel horrified at how politicians are being shot dead in India and the state is restricting any reaction to it. A simplistic selective assumption of India, as always. But this has strangely got repeated by many international outlets. Similar headline: lawmaker, former MP, former member of parliament and his brother a state legislator, a politician, and that's about it in the headlines. If you are an Indian, you will know what Atiq Ahmed represented. The horrifying days of guns and gory trail that Atiq Ahmed led, and not simply a politician, but a gangster who grabbed land of poor people, accused of getting anyone killed if they challenged his clout. The fear of his crimes ran deep for decades in former Allahabad, now Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh. More than 100 criminal cases have been filed against him, including of murder of innocent people. He went on to become a lawmaker and sadly got political shelter in India's temple of democracy for the longest time. Appropriate words like gangster and criminal were conspicuous by absence from these headlines on international media. One BBC journalist even described him, attributing to a court, as Robin Hood, who distributed arms to poor Muslims. What? There are enough news reports from all Indian news organizations where ground reporters have published extensive reports to track timeline with ground understanding of this criminal. But some in foreign press looks like got no time to speak to local reporters, local residents, and found similar headlines reiterated. How is that possible? One can and must raise questions on the killing, demand answers from the state government and police on the lack of security. But to make a criminal sound as just a poor former lawmaker, without context, without background, why are some pushing a narrative of empathy for Atiq Ahmed? Let me take you a little back for some understanding. A man, Jaypal, was member of a legislative assembly from Bahujan Samaj Party, was shot dead in broad daylight because he won elections against this Atiq Ahmed and his brother Ashraf in 2005. It was a case of bruised ego that led to the murder of Jaypal. He was newly married and the post-mortem report said 18 bullets were pumped into him. The Central Bureau of Investigation of this country had a probe into it and named Atiq Ahmed in that report. For 2 hours since that terror had unfolded, our reporters confirmed not one person dared to call the cops. A year later, only one eyewitness came forward against this gangster Neta, Umesh Pal. He had to carry an armed policeman for his safety 24/7 because he had given a statement in the court. But on 24th February, Umesh Pal was shot dead in daylight by multiple shooters. One of them, as per police, caught on CCTV, was the son of Atiq Ahmed, Asad, who was later killed in an encounter. Beyond surface, past few decades saw gang wars, shift in loyalties and revenge actions in Uttar Pradesh. As journalists, we must raise important points. Why a late-night medical checkup, lack of security, law and order situation, and all of that is crucial. Institutions are there in the country and they need to follow procedure. Nobody can or should not justify a killing in police custody. But how can all prime international news groups focus more on the word lawmaker of an opposition party and so less on his criminal history? What is this attempt, and to say what? It's bizarre to see that some are trying to give him a softer picture, that he was helping poor people. No, he was accused mainly of illegally grabbing land of the poor people and killed them if someone confronted. Suraj Kali had her land snatched. Her husband went missing, her brother was electrocuted, son was shot at, and she also survived a shootout. She fought a legal fight for 33 long years like any citizen of this country, only because she wanted her land back from this criminal.
अतीक अहमद उतरे और अशरफ उतरे और जो है तो उन्हें गंदी गंदी गाड़ी दर्ज के ही नहीं और जो है तो ताबड़तोड़ गोलियां चलाने लगे।
गोली
मेरे जो गोली लगी, अब मेरे जो है तो जलता है तो मैं रो रही हूँ। अपनी समय का जब ख्याल करती हूँ तो मेरी रुवाई तो होती है, नींद नहीं पड़ती।
All these years, the system failed her, policy makers failed her, and now by calling Atiq Ahmed a Robin Hood, some of our colleagues have also failed her. This is just one of many similar cases. People who remember the dark times will tell you in hushed whispers how they feel. But even today, his clout is running deep as they reminisce time of gang wars in Uttar Pradesh. Atiq was booked at merely 17 years of age as a teenager for murder of a businessman. Charges of multiple murders years down the line. This muscle man won local elections and kept winning because nobody dared to challenge him. until one Jaypal came forward. He won, but he was killed. He was even accused of attacking the then Chief Minister Mayawati in 1995. Atiq Ahmed kept switching parties. Samajwadi Party, Apna Dal, back and forth. He kept winning because of the criminal clout and money. His ancestral village remembered him as a ruthless one who bribed witnesses, threatened them and always escaped the law. In 2007, he was also accused of protecting men who were allegedly involved in the gang rape of Madarsa girl students. The incident sparked a massive outcry, prompting the Samajwadi Party to expel him. Questions should be raised as to how and why such men were allowed to contest elections in the country and that this needs to stop. But sadly, some netas are even raising his Muslim identity angle, that he was killed for that reason. The fact is, and I hope they realize, that by equating a dreaded gangster like Atiq Ahmed to the Muslim community at large is helping neither the community nor the issues they want to raise. He was dreaded to such an extent that 10 High Court judges recused from hearing the case on him. As latest as 2018, he got a trader arrested and transported to his prison barrack to sign property papers. Many questions are left unanswered to this killing. Here is what the government has meanwhile announced amid massive political showdown charged at Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. 3-member Judicial Commission to probe the matter. Special investigation team has been formed which will formally probe this incident. Shooters have been identified and sent to judicial custody. My dear fellow international journalist friends, as you inform the world at large, remember that Atiq Ahmed was first a gangster, first a dreaded criminal, first a monster to poor and vulnerable, not simply a lawmaker and definitely not a Robin Hood. Thank you for watching.